that the coup d'etats that are occurring now are not accentuated by Cold War interests. They are so completely different. So these are not ordinary coup d'etats. Now, one, in a struggle for national independence, there were three clear objectives. One of the objectives was that we should have the power to choose our own leaders, because we didn't have that power.
Yeah.
And again, it's important to recognize that those who colonized us denied us the right to choose our own leaders democratically. The governor was sitting in the Christianborg Castle. Who did he represent in the Gold Coast? Arbitrarily imposed by the Queen of England. You understand? And they did this for centuries. They have no right to be talking democracy to us. We know democracy better than them. Their history is full of the arbitrary imposition of leaders, the denial of the rights of the colonized people, and so on. So our struggle for national independence was intended, one, for us to regain our right as a people to choose our own leaders. Two, our struggle for national independence was to enable us own our resources. The gold, the diamond, the oil, the gas, and so on, embedded in our soil. That we should own it. And three, that these resources, when exploited, should be exploited for the benefit of our own people. Three objectives. Now, it is clear that we have not realized these objectives. All three of the objectives have not been realized in Africa today. So, the struggle for national independence continues unabated. And these coups can be seen within the context of the continuing struggle for the emancipation of the African people. And that's why they are popular. They are as popular as the national liberation movements were. This is the reason. Now, you take Niger, and I've seen two different projections. One of them says that Niger is the second poorest country in the world. The other says that Niger is the fourth poorest country in the world. Second, fourth, what difference does it make? You understand? Now I ask myself, how come that Niger is so very poor? Because this is the country which has enormous uranium resources. It has gold, it has oil, it has gas. And as I said last week, if you go to France and you see all those neon lights, electric lights, and so on, 1 out of every 3 bulbs is powered by uranium from Niger. And yet, less than 30% of the population of Niger has access to electricity. Can you believe this? Look, Niger is the second largest drone base of the United States of America in the world. The whole world, second largest drone base. And yet its people are so poor. Their access to education is limited. Their access to social services like housing and so on, limited and so on. Poor people. So the people of Niger, like people throughout Africa, including Ghana, are asking questions about how come that they are so poor, when indeed Africa is the richest continent in the world. This situation cannot continue forever. It has to stop somewhere. Unfortunately, Africa doesn't have the leaders who are ready to say no to France, to say no to the European Union, and to say no to NATO. That's why we are here. That's why we are here. That is why the resistance is building. And these coups are expressions of the people's struggle, the resistance. That I'm expecting a few more coups in Africa. And I mean it. From the way things are happening, it is easy to predict that there will be a few more coups in Africa. There are some who think that they are Tarzan. Some of the politicians, they think that they are Tarzan. And I hear them and I laugh at them. And they are beating their chest. Say, we don't want coups. We will not allow coups. Who are you? Who are you? What army have you raised? What is your capacity? No capacity. Just empty talk. Now, these coup d'etats, as I said from the beginning, are not new. They have happened in our history and so on. They happen, they are popular, people rally around them. Eventually, whether it takes 10 years or 19 years, they hand over to so-called civilian administrations. The civilian administrations take over, and over time, they begin to do the very things for which other civilian administrations were overthrown. So we've had a cycle of coup d'etat, civilian administration, coup d'etat, civilian administration, coup d'etat. We need to break this cycle.
Yeah.
Revolutionary forces on the continent, progressive forces on the continent, should be thinking about what is it that we can do in order to transform these popular coup d'etats into popular democratic mass expressions of the people.
Yeah.
Popular, democratic, mass expressions of the people. Otherwise, these coup d'etats will happen. We will come back to square one because they'll be compelled to hand over power to civilian administrations, which will stay in power 2, 3 years, sometimes 5 years, sometimes 20 years, and end up messing with us. And we'll have the need then to organize more coup d'etats. And then back to civilian administrations and more coup d'etats. That cycle is not in the interest of the African people. That cycle is certainly not in the interest of the African people. So, the task before us, the question we have to answer is what is it that we need to do in order to turn these popular revolts into mass democratic expressions of the people. That's the challenge.